I express my gratitude to you for organizing this seminar, and undoubtedly it is very useful in our joint activities and for the prospects of our cooperation. And it should be noted that the agenda of the seminar is interdisciplinary. So first of all, based on our background. So, and today, I will start with a little historical background about the Semipalatinsk test site. The history of nuclear testing began with an event of world significance, the test of the first Soviet atomic bomb on August 29, 1949. In total, 456 nuclear tests were carried out at the Semipalatinsk test site, STS, in a head, of which 30 were ground, 86 on air, and 340 underground tests. The landfill area is more than 18,000 square kilometers, which is comparable to the territories of the such states as Israel and Slovenia. The total yield of all nuclear weapons tested at STS is equal to 1,200 nuclear bombs dropped on Hiroshima. The main sources of radioactivity contamination of the territory of the Semipalatinsk test site are nuclear tests, which were carried out at the test sites. However, there is another potentially significant source of pollution. It appeared as a result of testing of military radioactive substances. The basis of these type of weapons of mass destruction are radioactivity substances in the form of liquid and powder formulations used to kill people, to contaminate equipment, weapons, and other environmental objects. The fact of the growing terrorist threat with the use of the so-called dirty bombs, essentially using the same damaging factors as military radioactive substances, makes the presented research more relevant. In 1991, despite all the difficulties of a political, social, and financial nature, the first president of Kazakhstan, Nazarbayev, made the only correct, I would say difficult and strong-willed decision to close the Semipalatinsk test site. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Kazakhstan inherited the world's fourth largest nuclear arsenal, and this historic choice largely determined the future strategy of our country in the field of global security. After the cessation of nuclear testing at the former Semipalatinsk test site, there were still objects containing sensitive information about the technology of nuclear testing, special technological equipment, separate edits of the named Degelen mountain range, and sites containing dispersed nuclear waste. That is why the government of Kazakhstan has set a number of tasks for us aimed at solving issues related to maintaining the regime of non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, work on which has been and is still being carried out within the framework of international cooperation. The first work to eliminate the infrastructure of conducting nuclear tests was carried out in the period from 1996 to 2000 under the agreement on the elimination of infrastructure for weapons of mass destruction. Within the framework of this agreement, the entire infrastructure of conducting nuclear tests at STS, this test site, has been completely eliminated. The facilities intended for underground testing have been brought into a state that doesn't allow them to be used for nuclear weapons testing. In particular, on the site of the Degelen mountain range, with a total area of 300 square kilometers, where 209 underground nuclear tests were carried out in audits. We closed the portals of all 181 audits in order to exclude the possibility of their use of testing nuclear weapons in the future and remove sensitive non-proliferation issues. At the Balapan site, on an area of approximately 800 square kilometers from 1963 to 89, 108 nuclear tests were carried out in special wells. 13 wells remained unused. We have carried out work to eliminate these unused wells, and 12 silo launchers at the Balapan site have been brought into a state that doesn't allow them to be used for testing nuclear weapons. In parallel, work was carried out within the framework of the implementation of the meeting between the government of the Russian Federation and the government of the Republic of Kazakhstan on the project Kolba containers and special technological equipment located on the territory of the former test site. The agreement provided for a complex of employers with tested and 5 untested Kolba containers and the various objects affecting sensitive information. And today we can say that the whole complex of works has been completed. Since 2000, the scope of work has already been on a tripartite basis. Kazakhstan, Russian, and USA. And the purpose of this work was to detect the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction and the use of materials, technologies, and the knowledge by restriction created in 1995 to 2000, fencing barriers and exclusions for unauthorized access to nuclear waste and preventing the spread of fissile and radioactive waste and accordingly sensitive information. As a result of these joint works in the period of from 2000 to 2012, specialists from the 3 countries test wells containing nuclear waste were reliably mothballed. 6 containers Kolba were safely buried, and a special technological equipment was extracted from the 2 audits and transported to the Russian Federation. And completed work on the binding of nuclear waste and the strengthening of physical barriers at the all 42 plant audit sites. In the course of these works, additional protective barriers with a total volume of about 40,000 cubic meters were created at the facilities. Concrete rock special solutions in total during the period of from 2000 to 2012, additional barriers with a volume of about 90,000 cubic meters were created at Semipalatinsk test site facilities under the agreement. As a result of the work performed on a trilateral basis, reliable protective barriers have been created at the facilities and the sites of the former Semipalatinsk test site, completely excluding unauthorized, without the use of industrial means, access to nuclear waste located at nuclear testing facilities. All work was carried out under strict radiation and dissemination control before and after the completion of work on additional protection of nuclear wastes. Independent radioecological surveys of the territory were carried out at each of the facilities. The results of the surveys showed that after the completion of the work, the environmental situation at all audits and sites of the former test site improved. The results of work show that today it is impossible to penetrate the objects of the former test infrastructure without industrial intervention. The zone of potential threats has been brought to a very decent condition, both in terms of engineering and physical protection. Nevertheless, certain risks exist. Therefore, we have created a modern system of three-level physical protection at Semipalatinsk test sites. The system is based on advanced methods of remote detection of unauthorized penetration to these strategic facilities. The most sensitive points of the landfill are guarded by the National Guard of Kazakhstan. For surveillance, advanced remote detection systems are used. Remote access control systems allow displaying information in the guard rooms of the security forces and the situational center of the National Nuclear Center of Kazakhstan. In October 2013 and August 2015, measures were taken to test the system with the involvement of security forces. Both tests showed the efficiency and effectiveness of the system. The success of the practical implementation of work in Kazakhstan was laid down by the program named after two senators of the US Congress, the Non and Lugar program. From June to during the 3 days in 2015, in Astana, now Nur-Sultan city, and Kurchatov city, on the basis of the National Nuclear Center of Kazakhstan, an international seminar reducing threats to global security lessons from Kazakhstan was held, in which experts from among diplomats, military, and scientists of the USA, Russia, and Kazakhstan. Within the framework of the seminar, a session trilateral cooperation of the Republic of Kazakhstan, the Russian Federation, the United States, at the former Semipalatinsk test site was held, where all participants noted the high contribution of Kazakhstan to the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. The experience gained during the implementation of works on the destruction of infrastructure allowed us to begin the implementation of the project to eliminate the consequences of testing weapons of mass destruction at the Semipalatinsk test site as part of contracts with the United States. In 2013, we began a detailed survey of the test site experimental field. The purpose of the work is to find places of possible concentration of nuclear waste and their further neutralization. At present, based on the results of the survey, based on the existing experience of trilateral cooperation, work is underway to remediate individual sections of the Semipalatinsk test site containing these waste materials. Removal of the upper soil layer, binding it with a special solution, loading it into transport containers and moving the containers to the Baikal reactor complex for long-term storage. And the sites containing less significant amounts of nuclear waste are plowed over to reduce concentrations. So the National Nuclear Center successfully implemented the mission entrusted to it, scientific and technological support for the implementation of the policy of the Republic of Kazakhstan in the field of non-proliferation and peaceful use of atomic energy, and the results of number of works carried out by the National Nuclear Center in support of the non-proliferation regime were noted on the several events, and the experience gained in the course of the work allows us to consider the possibility of continuing the existing partnership and the cooperation. So our country was one of the first among the border countries to accede to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and the initiative of Kazakhstan. The United Nations declared August 29 the International Day Against Nuclear Tests. And after 5 countries of Central Asia signed an agreement on a nuclear weapon-free zone, Central Asia became the first nuclear-free zone in the Northern Hemisphere. At the suggestion of Kazakhstan, the United Nations approved the Universal Declaration of building a world free of nuclear weapons. And important new initiative of the head of our state was the Atom Project, which continued the policy of achieving global nuclear disarmament. In order to ensure the radiation and nuclear physical safety of the former Semipalatinsk test site, work is underway on its comprehensive environmental survey. We continue many years of large-scale work on Semipalatinsk test site in support of the non-proliferation regime. So thank you very much for your kind attention.